If you're a heating and air conditioning technician or a salesperson, what is a word track that you could use to help close some sales, and why does it matter? This is an important question. I'm Scott Silverman, coming to you live for HVAC Technician Sales Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. So I want to share something with you, which is one of the most common old school closes. It comes from copywriting, from the world of sales, and you may not have ever heard it. It is a Crossroads close. So if you got a crossroad, right, you got the crossroad, one direction going this way, one direction going that, right? Crossroads, you got the crossroads sale. On one hand, one thing is going to happen. On the other hand, the other thing is going to happen, okay? So you have to be able to paint the story of a problem, a pain, or an issue, and then you also have to paint the story of success. So you may sit down with your buyer and you're like, you've got a problem with part A, part B, part C, part D. The person's like, wow, there's a lot of things going on in my system. I don't know what to do. You can literally say, hey, look, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Buyers, you're at a crossroad. And here's what's happening. On one direction, you've got a bunch of parts and pieces that are going to fail. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep happening. But then there's also another direction. Do you want to hear what it is? And they say, yeah. And you could tell them it may be time, depending upon what you want to do, to replace the system. Just stop talking. Just let it go. Because what's going to happen is they're going to oscillate. They're going to start having a conversation with themselves. They're going to start going back and forth. Well, if I do these repairs, I've got to spend like $1,500. If I get a new system, here's what's going to happen. When done right, they're going to come back to you and go, what would you do? Right? Almost every time that I've ever done the Crossroads, right? The Crossroads close, this is what happens. Scott, what would you do? Please do the right thing for your buyer. This is why you should join HVACTechSecrets.com. I'll give you the goods, not in the Facebook group, not on the YouTube channel. So what you're doing is you're narrowing down options. And just remember, people can say, I'm not going to do anything. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer, right? Hey, look, I'm not doing anything right now. But at least you painted the picture. On one hand, you've got all these problems and these issues. Let me paint the picture forward for you. On this hand, you've got this solution. Let me paint the picture for you. And then you could either ask, what would you like to do? You could be quiet. You could sit there and let them interact with you. But just realize, we're used to like, hey, what path should I take? What direction should I go? And by having the conversation and explaining, here's what you have with the Crossroads. And sometimes people will come back and go, okay, you gave me two options. What's the third option? Well, you know what it is, and I know what it is. You can literally tell somebody you could do nothing. Technicians fight me on this when they first hear about it. They're like, Scott, if I tell them they're going to do nothing, they're going to do nothing. That's not true. Because what you're doing is you're addressing something that's happening in the oscillation where they're like, do I do this or do I do that? They may come back and go, well, what happens if I do nothing? Then you just repeat this direction of the Crossroads. You're going to have problems in the future. You're going to have more repairs. You're going to have issues. The system's going to fail when you need it the most. Just be aware that that's what's going to happen. And once again, you don't have to keep talking. You can stop talking and let them just absorb what's going on. And then here's something that I want to let you know. If you're ever having a conversation with somebody and you see them tapping, right? They're tapping or they're doing this. They're calculating money in their head. You just let them do their thing, right? You let them tap their fingers, do this. If it looks like they're doing math in their head, it's okay. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 minutes. But you just wait, and here's what's going to happen. They're going to come back, and they're going to give you an answer. And whatever that answer is, okay, cool. That's what we'll do. Hey, Scott, I want to make repairs. Okay, cool. That's what we're going to do. Hey, Scott, I want to get a new system. Okay, cool. That's what we're going to do. Hey, Scott, I'm going to do nothing. Okay, I'll just make a note on the invoice of all the issues that you're having so you know what's going to happen in the future. And sometimes just that conversation of let me just make a note of everything that's happening on the invoice. They might come back and go, you know what? I just want to get a new system or I just want to make those repairs. You can use the Crossroads, the Crossroads close to help people make a decision because the worst thing for somebody to do is to do nothing, right? They may say, hey, Scott, what would you do? Well, I mean, either make the repairs or get a new system because the worst thing at this point is to do nothing, especially with the season coming up and especially with the problems you have going on. You can take it just about any direction that you want, right? But they really want to narrow it down to two items for what they're going to do, and let them, if they're going to come back and say, well, I could do nothing, right? Yeah, you could always do nothing. Here's what's going to happen. You got one thing to do from here. See? You got one thing to do from here. Let me paint the picture for you. Join HVACTechSecrets.com by hitting subscribe, and what you'll find is you'll get the goods. If you don't, you may miss out. There's your Crossroads. We'll see you soon.